In the quiet town of Idosi town, the winds always whispered secret through the towering cocoa trees. Life moved at a steady pace. The rhymes of traditional and farming echoing the people. Omowumi, the daughter of Chief Alabi, was the town's beloved treasure. Her beauty shone like the morning sun, and her father's wealth makes her live in a comfort. But Omowumi was not one to settle for an easy life. She has dreams of starting her own business, of building something outside the shadow of her father's name. And there was one man who shared those dreams with her. Tunde. Tunde was no ordinary man. He was ambitious, charismatic, and had a ways of making promise sound like guarantees. He wasn't from a rich family, but he has managed to work his way up to a decent position at the local cocoa factory. To everyone in Idosi town, Tunde and Omowumi seems like a perfect match. They were deeply in love. So it appears for all of Tunde's charms. He carried a deep frustration. His ambitions had split his reality. He hated being the man who had to work long hours just to keep up. He longed for wealth, for power, though he loved Omowumi. Part of him wanted more than the life they could build together. He wanted to be the man at the top, to have everyone in those towns look at him with respect and envy. One night, Tunde's friend Bayo came to him with a white tales. There is a man, a herbalist, who can change your fortune overnight. His name is Baba Ifedayo. But people say he works with dark forces. They say his wealth ritual required a heavy price. Tunde looked at the idea at first. But the seed has been planted. Days turned into weeks, and Tunde could not stop thinking about it. The more he thought about his poor life, the more the temptation grew. One evening, after another tearing days at work, he decided to visit Baba Ifedayo. If nothing else, he would just hear the man's out. The shrine of Baba Ifedayo was buried deep within the forest, for from the eyes of the curious, the herbalist himself was a man of few words. His face was hard, his eyes sharp, and his voice heard and unsettling calm. "What do you seek?" Baba Ifedayo asked, his voice almost a whisper. "I want wealth, Baba," Tunde replies. "Wealth that no one in the town have ever seen." The old man smiles. "Wealth is easy to find, but it requires a sacrifice. You must give something to great value, something irreplaceable." Tunde's heart raised. "What kind of sacrifice, Baba?" "The blood of someone close to you. A woman who loves you with all her heart. She must be willing to give herself to you completely, without suspicions." Omowumi's face appears in Tunde's mind, and for a brief moment, he hesitated. But then the vision of wealth overwhelmed his guilty. He convinced himself that it would not be his fault. After all, don't great men make difficult decisions? Tunde left Baba Ifedayo's shrine with the promise of riches, but his soul was already stained with the weight of his choice. Tunde returned to Omowumi with a renewed energy, showering her with attention and affections. He planned every detail carefully, knowing that trust was his greatest weapon. Omowumi, like his true intentions, was overjoyed by the sudden romantic gestures. "Let's take a trip to Okuta this weekend," Tunde suggests one evening. As they start under the stars by the riverbanks, we can visit Olu Rock, have a nice dinner, and spend some time away from everyone. Omowumi supported the idea. She looked adventurous, and she loved adventures. And spending times with Tunde always from the highs of their small town seems perfect. The weekends arrived, and they set off for Okuta. The journey was filled with laughter, sweet words, and Tunde's usual charms. They took photos and visited local market. It was the kind of days that Omowumi believes she had found her love forever. As the sun began to set, they checked into a small hotel at the edge of town. Tunde has booked a special room, one that overlooked the beautiful hills in the distance. He poured Omowumi a glass of wine and handed it to her with a soft smile. "To us," he said, clicking his glass against hers. Omowumi sipped the wine, unaware of the faint taste of something bitter at the bottom. Tunde watched her closely, his heart pounding. As the night deepens, Omowumi begins to feel drowsy, her vision blurry. She tried to speak, but her word breaks, her lips felt heavy. "Tunde, something is wrong," she whispered. He gently looks at her hand, his face expressionless. "Just rest, my love." And then darkness. Omowumi awoke to the sounds of drums. Her head dropped and her body felt weak. As her eyes adjusted to the dim light, she realized she was no longer in the hotel room. She was lying on a cold stone floor in what appeared to be an ancient shrine. Carving of strange symbols lined the walls, and the air was thick with the smells of burning herbs. Suddenly, she heard footsteps. Tunde emerged from the shadows, but there was no warmth in his face. Besides him and Baba Ifedayo, chanting a low voice as he held his ceremonial life. "Tunde, what is happening?" Omowumi's voice cracked with fears. Tunde looked away, unable to meet her gaze. "I am sorry, Omowumi. I had no choice. I needed this. For us. For my future." Baba Ifedayo raised the knife. His chanting grew louder. Omowumi had to raise as she realized what was happening. She struggled to move, but her body was still weak from whatever Tunde has put in her drink. As Baba Ifedayo lifted the knife to strike, the doors to the shrine busted open. In storms, Chief Alabi, flanked by several armed men from the village. They had been searching for Omowumi since the moment he hasn't returned their calls. Chief Alabi had suspected something was wrong and followed a trace of clues that led him to Baba Ifedayo's shrine. "Stop this nonsense at once!" Chief Alabi roared out. Baba Ifedayo froze, his eyes wide, with shock. Tunde stood paralyzed. Guilty and fear shows across his face. Omowumi, still weak, looked up at her father with tears-filled eyes. "Bami!" Chief Alabi men seized Baba Ifedayo, grinding his hand. Tunde tried to explain, tried to plead for forgiveness, but there was no mercy in Chief Alabi's hand. "You betrayed my daughter, the woman who loved you more than life itself." Tunde fell to his knees, sobering. He knew his life was over. The wealth he had sought now meant nothing. All that remains was the bitter taste of betrayal. Baba Ifedayo was banished from the village and stripped of his power by the councils of elders. His shrine was destroyed, and his name became one that once only whispers in darkness corner. Tunde was also banished. No one in Idosi town would ever welcome him again. His dreams of wealth had turned into a nightmare, and the woman he had betrayed would never forgive him. As for Naomi, she returned home, her heart shattered, but her spirit unbroken. She had been saved by the love of her father, and though she would never trust so blindly again, she vowed to rebuild her life, stronger and wiser than before. Idosi town returned to his quiet, steady pace, but the story of Tunde and Omowumi will be told for generations. The tales of how love, when twisted by greed, could turn into darkness betrayal.